Hello, 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 and welcome to the Hybrid Training Hub channel. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about meal prepping and what different strategies you could use and implement to make meal prepping a part of your life. Why? There's a few reasons people do meal prep, and it probably is the single most important habit you could adopt to bettering your health outcome. Why? We're trying to basically limit the amount of shit that's in your diet, meaning quote unquote bad food. And there is a whole debate around what we even classify as bad food, good food, but intuitively most people, when they think about good food and bad food, they can envision what that is. And to title it, you've basically got whole foods and less processed on the side that we would say, is on the better side of health outcomes for food. And then we've got fast food, we've got processed, refined sugars, and on that side, we could pretty much say is a straight shot to metabolic disease and worsening your health outcomes. Now, we don't want to demonize it and pretend that fast food and convenient food and eating out isn't a part of our culture, right? And it's enjoyable. I mean, who doesn't enjoy going out and tasting these crazy combination of flavors that we can create in modern day? So to demonize it and say completely stop having this becomes very restricting, and it can kind of worsen life quality. But we don't necessarily want to always be eating on this side. We want to try and find some kind of balance point, being that if 60 to 70% of our diet is pretty much whole foods, less processed, home prepared, and something that you would deem to be on the better side towards your goals, fantastic. You've got a really good split, because that extra, 10 to 30% of random meals, takeout foods, fast foods, lollies, chocolates, desserts is probably only going to, make life a little bit more enjoyable and add some fun to it. The problem is when those percentages split or go the other way, and you've got someone that's eating 50 to 80% of their food being that they wake up and they're having fast food. Lunch is fast food. They don't have a whole lot of whole ingredients. They don't know where their food's coming from. They're eating packets off the shelves. And then only on occasion when someone either cooks for them or they just have a spurt and they're like, I'm going to follow this recipe, they finally get some whole foods. That's a sure way to lead yourself to a hospital bed long term. So the point of meal prepping, or one of the points of meal prepping, is starting to feed into that habit of bettering or bringing in more whole foods, and on that side of the food spectrum, trying to bring more of that into your life. So when you're enjoying yourself over here, it's not doing damage. There's some other benefits to meal prepping too, like saving time. It's reducing food waste. It's supporting your health goals. And pretty importantly, reducing decision fatigue. Every single time that we try to decide what we're going to eat, there's a lot of energy that goes into that. And now we're not necessarily meal prepping for our best days. When we're up, we're like, hell yeah, the day's going perfect, already hit the gym, smashing at work, health goals, and whoa, look at this, food prepared for me, killing it. The more of those days you string together, awesome. But it's the days where it's like, oh my God, my car broke down this morning. Okay, I taxied into work. Then this happened, and more stress got put onto you. Then this deal went to shit, and all of these stresses add on. It gets to the final decision where you're like, whoa, it's lunchtime, what am I gonna have? Now, if you are trying to better your health, those days do happen, and what you're trying to do is plan for that. So now, you either A, what do I do here? Do I choose the better option, or do I get a bit of closure and dopamine from fast food? You're probably going to choose that. But then maybe, just maybe, you've prepared some food and you're like, whoa, look at what past Lucas did for future Lucas. A beautiful prepared meal with whole foods, lots of colors, lean proteins. Brother. So you're going to have that. Those are the days you're planning for to reduce the decisions and the fatigue that goes into what should I eat. So if you can adopt this habit into your life of meal prepping, it's only going to get you closer to your goals. The big picture is to find a strategy that works for you. Now, what works for one person doesn't mean it'll work for you, and what works for you doesn't mean that it's going to work for somebody else. The idea is to play around with different strategies, find one that resonates with you, give it a shot, and if it's sustainable and you can do it long term, keep doing it. And if you're someone that's already meal prepping, maybe you're just looking for a different strategy you could play around with. So those different strategies range. One strategy is the full week prep. This is where you choose one day of the week, and this is normally falls onto a Saturday or Sunday, and you tend to cook all of your meals in one big batch, and then you either freeze them or you chuck them in the refrigerator. Now, this has some benefits and some downsides. The downside really is it just takes a lot of time and a lot of preparation into that one day. But the plus side is that everything's done for the week. Everything now is just put into automation mode and you get to just eat the food that you've prepared. Another strategy you could use is the big bulk prep. And what you do there is you prep anywhere between 20 and sometimes I've seen some people do up to 80 meals, like 3 months of prep done in one day. And you prep this one kind of meal, whether it's like a burrito, some kind of rice, veg, and protein, and then you just chuck all of them into the deep freeze and you just get to pick at them whenever you choose to. Now, there are some sick people out there that eat that same meal every single day. Now, I would personally use this as more of a, okay, I've got some random days coming up and I may not get a chance to prepare, or, a fail safe where, oh crap, I forgot to prep for the next couple of days. I don't really have time to pick up on the habit. What do I do here? Do I do the takeout option, or do I just grab a couple of those meals from the freezer? And it works as a fail safe. So that even implementing with other strategies can be really useful. But for some people with super inconsistent schedules, they find that bulk prepping anywhere between 20 to 80, 100 meals in one sitting works really well for them. So that is another strategy you could use. There is a downside, being that if you are someone that doesn't like eating the same food all the time, you're going to be stuck with that meal for a while. So play around with it. Next is the 3-day split, which is where you prep on a Sunday and you also prep on a Wednesday. And those days can change, but you basically keep preparing for 3 to 4 days ahead. That way you don't have to put the meals into the freezer. You can keep them in the fridge and then they still feel a lot fresher each time that you eat them. Also, taking down the amount of food that you have to prepare in one sitting. This can be really beneficial for those people who enjoy a little bit more frequency cooking, fresher food. The downside is that if something happens on one of those days and you're unable to prepare food, then you're kind of pushed back. And then again, given that decision, what do I eat? Is it fast food? Do I prepare something? What can I do here? So the 3-day prep is an awesome strategy. And next up on that list, we've got the staple ingredient prep. Now, this is my favorite one when I find that I've got like a huge block where I'm working from home. This is where you prepare the ingredients in bulk, but you don't distribute them to containers. Now, this could be I grab a kilo of chicken breast or chicken thigh, and I choose a flavor, and I might say maybe it's some Mexican flavor. And I prepare that protein, I prepare a heap of different kinds of vegetables, but I keep them in a bulk container. And then what I do at lunchtime or breakfast is I go and actually grab those proteins, carbs, and fat sources and mash them into some kind of meal. Now, for some people, that might seem counterintuitive to meal prepping, where you're trying to take away some of that prep time, which you do. It's nice to have a lot of those convenient, protein sources, really nice whole foods, ripe and ready to go when it comes to, say, breakfast. And I want to make a breakfast burrito or some kind of scrambled eggs. Then I can kind of grab some other protein sources, maybe add some chicken in there that's already prepared, just to up that protein intake. And it can also work really well for dinners, where same thing, you might want to make burritos, tacos, rice bowls, and you can basically just pull the already prepared ingredients and just mash them into something. And it really works well for, let's say, some neurospicy people. What a coincidence. neurospicy people where they like to be a little bit more creative with what they eat and not too constrained by the prepared meal that they made for the whole week. They can go, all right, cool, I'm going to mash something together and make something I enjoy and what I'm feeling. So that's the staple ingredient prep and can be really useful. The next one on that list is the raw ingredient prep. Now, this one is fantastic for families, people that still want to do a lot of the cooking yourself, but really want to cut out having to portion them, chop everything up, and just get right to the good stages of cooking, which is smelling those ingredients on the pan, smelling those sauces and aromas coming through the room. So what you do is you kind of grab all your meals and pre-prepare what you are going to have for the week, and then you distribute and pretty much put all the ingredients where they need to go. You chop and cut up all of those vegetables and you prepare the proteins, you put them in different flavors, sauce them up, spice them up, and you basically have then 7 days of meals that you would be preparing or not having to prepare for dinner. You just pull them out and you start the cooking process. And what you're trying to do is cut some time off of the early ends of cooking so you can just skip right to the fun parts. Next one is the most convenient, probably the most convenient way to meal prep, which is the next day leftovers, where you just end up adding an extra portion onto whatever it is that you're cooking for that night, and then you have that for lunch the next day. That can be fantastic if you've just had like a really smashing recipe and then you're like, oh my God, I can't wait to have this again. Wait a minute, you get to have it the next day. Whew, awesome. The next strategy is DIY meal kits. You can, which is kind of like the bulk ingredient prep, where you would have the ingredients or the raw ingredients prepared on one day, so you just get to take it out and cook it. So you have different food companies that will send you like a week's worth of recipes and all the ingredients as groceries in one shot. And then you just look at the recipe that you're going to cook and you just cook that. You've got all the ingredients there and a lot of the prep and decision fatigue is taken out. And then you mix that in with the other strategy, which is next day leftovers, and you just cook the extra portion. You have that for lunch the next day. Then there also are meal prep companies that are out there. You'll see them in supermarkets, petrol stations, online, where they basically just send you macro meals, where you have a frozen meal that's sent to you, it's prepared, you know what the protein, carbs, and fats are, and you just have them. Now, that one is more expensive, but can be really useful, kind of like the really big bulk prep, where you're like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where I'm going to be tomorrow or what the day is going to turn out to look like. So you just have a few of those meals in the freezer where you can be like, all right, cool. I'm just going to grab one of those because I'm in a hurry. But usually, and this comes down to the individual, I know that most of the times that I've relied heavily on those meals that I don't necessarily feel the healthiest. And that's much more to an individual's perception. So you might find that works really well for you. I tend to find that my health outcomes actually worsen, but it's a really good strategy to make sure I'm hitting my protein and different macro goals if I'm ever in a pinch. Now, they're the different strategies and there are more, but you're not necessarily wanting to just stick to one either. You might find that there's combinations that work together. We did mention a few of those, like sometimes it's mixing in the 3-day prep in with the bulk prep, where you would have those 30 meals in the deep freeze and you're just preparing every 3 days, but whoops, car battery died and I have to get that fixed, won't have time to cook tonight, so I'll just grab one of those tomorrow, add some ketchup and barbecue sauce, some extra spices, and make it into something different. You can combine different strategies to find one that works with you, because there is no one right way. You got to experiment, you got to adjust. Mix strategies depending on the week, and the best plan is always the one that you can stick with. There's no point doing the 7-day prep if you only do it for 1 week and then give up because it's too hard. You want to try it out, take the information, and then do something with that and be like, all right, well, this worked, this was convenient, but it was too much. Okay, I will try this strategy next time. And when you start to mix and match and do more of them more often, you'll find what strategy works for for you. Now, that is all of the strategies down. Hopefully I didn't miss too many, but I'm curious, what are your strategies? What strategies do you like to use when you're preparing meals? What's worked? What's flopped for you? Any hacks that you love when it comes to preparing food? Chuck them down into the comments. I would love to see them. And obviously, any kind of ideas or strategies that you've found quite useful, someone else trying to better their health might find it incredibly useful too. So I'd love to see that shared. Anyway, thank you. That is the end of the episode. Laters, gators, and haters. See you next time.